Sup flappers, welcome to another video. And as recently you guys may have noticed, I've been talking a lot about certain characters when it comes to whales that I've been speaking to. Big and small whales, some of them are barely qualifying as a whale but still have dropped some money in the game. And personally myself, I'm nearing, I believe, $5,000 in the game, getting close. So I have every single character in the game, and as somebody who is, I would say, a collector, all right, and somebody asked me in chat, Walrus, do you regret any characters that you have pulled? And do I regret? Of course I do. Anybody who has dropped more than, I want to say, like a couple $100 in this game probably has a thing or two they either regret now or they will regret in the future. Now, before we get any further, I just want to let you guys know we're currently running giveaways here on the channel. We're giving away characters. We already gave away 2 Albedos, 2 Eulas. We're moving into 2 Ito. If you're watching this, probably gonna be doing another giveaway this Saturday. But if you're watching this like 2-3 days from now, probably giveaway is already over. So if you're one of the lucky few who's catching this video early, make sure to tune in 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturday. That's when I'll be going live right here on YouTube. Join my Discord. Make sure you're subscribed. You're not going to miss the live stream if you do those 2 things. All right. So with that said, let's get into the video. We're only going to talk about 5 stars because that's what you really have to drop the hard dough on. So we're talking about characters that I personally regret getting. And trust me, when I say they're not C6, they're just very regular units. Most of them are at C0, if not C1. The most I've gotten to was C4. And we'll talk about that too. All right. So starting at Sango no Miya Kokomi, do I regret getting this character? We're gonna have to be quite strict here, all right? We're not gonna be wishy-washy. The real answer is, yeah, of course, I regret getting Kokomi, but not in the way that you guys think, right? If I were not collecting all of these characters in the game, would I have gotten Kokomi? No, I would not. Usage when it comes to characters are very limited. Building different teams for the Spiral Abyss is fun, but it can only keep you occupied for so long. Once you go through a couple iterations of the Spiral Abyss, you start to quickly realize you don't need all these characters. You don't need all this support and these different variations of things, right? A couple teams with small variations can take care of all iterations of the Abyss as long as you have good enough coverage. Kokomi is one of those characters that I find doesn't really cover much. Kokomi is definitely one of those characters that I most likely would have skipped over because I just can't fit her into proper teams that I run, that I prefer running. Even teams that she can be theory crafted into, they're very, how should I put this, mid-tier to low tier. So yes, we're speaking meta, and why would I pull for a character if it's not meta driven, if my funds are either limited or I am being very selective with my characters? And no, unfortunately, she's also not my waifu. So yeah, when it comes to that meta, she's also out of the gate. Raiden Shogun, I do regret getting. Listen, this is controversial. I run Raiden Shogun mostly with Eula, but I don't really run Eula. So what ends up happening is I only run Raiden Shogun with Eula in certain runs of the Abyss, so I don't actually get that much usage out of her in the overworld. Doesn't mean she's bad. In fact, she's a phenomenal character, but if you look at why people even have her, why people built her, it's mostly for Abyss usage. Of course, she could be ran in the overworld. Anyone could be ran in the overworld, people. So at the end of the day, I do think if I were a collector or someone with a very tight budget, I most likely would have skipped her if I had the knowledge that I have now. Does that mean you should skip her? Absolutely not. I do think for anyone watching, she's gonna benefit your account immensely. It's just personally, I don't use her very much because of my preferred playstyle. With that said, moving on to Yoimiya. When it comes to Yoimiya, here's the thing. I don't really use her that much as well. Through this video, you're gonna really understand what kind of player I am. Yeah, I probably would not have picked her up with the knowledge that I have now. Her playstyle is not my preferred playstyle, and her power is heavily locked behind certain constellations, and she scales very, very strong into C6 as you get her up there, and I know that. But do I use her at C0? No. Definitely, probably, most likely would have skipped her. So already 3 characters would be missing from this list if I were not a collector. Kamisato Ayaka. So here's the character, one of the first ones that I would definitely tell you guys, no, I would not have skipped her. I still would have picked her up. In fact, I do think I would still pick her up and her weapon ups. As Ayaka sees great usage both at the Abyss, outside the Abyss. She runs in freeze teams. She can do on hit and she can do burst. I know on hit builds for Ayaka is kind of a meme. Yes, I know, but it's doable. And I do have a lot of fun with her. She has the way she can traverse the overworld as well. It's just a well-built character crammed into one kit. I know it's also preferential, but overall, I do think Kamisato Ayaka is a good pickup for myself and my preferred playstyle. Onto Kazuha. A definitive yes. In fact, if I knew what this man is capable of, or knew how much I would have loved playing him, I probably would have picked up C1. Right now, this is C0, 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 C0. Alright? So, I probably would have picked up C1 for this man, because now I know his C1 is very beneficial to how I want to play the game. So, definitely yes. Kazuha, such a strong unit, well used in the Abyss, and could be easily used in the overworld for exploration, or as just casual gameplay. It's a ton of fun. Eula, here's another character. I would not have picked her up if I knew what she was like. Similar reason as to these two. I like fast attacking characters. I like characters with speed and agility. Eula feels a little too slow for my preferred playstyle, so I most likely would have skipped Eula. So this is also giving you guys a glimpse into whether I will be hunting for future constellations of these characters. Moving on to Hu Tao, I definitely would have picked her up, even knowing her struggles potentially in the current line of content. I definitely would have picked Hu Tao up. She's currently still one of my main units. I play her in almost all of the different variations. I love to have her as my main DPS, but that's also because I have a cracked out Zhongli. We'll talk about him a little later. Zhao, another character I most likely would not have picked up. I almost never use Zhao. I do feel like Hu Tao is a superior version of Zhao. Listen, Zhao relies on his burst, meaning you want to have his burst up as often as possible. When you're in the overworld, that could feel a little wasteful and a little difficult, and sometimes just feels completely excessive. Whereas Hu Tao's power is locked behind her elemental skill, which is like 8, 15, 16 seconds. Zhao is just longer, and cycling through it has been awkward for me personally. Just don't enjoy that playstyle, and if I knew what I was getting myself into, most likely I would have skipped him. But I know he is very loved among the community for good reason. Very powerful unit, deals a ton of damage. When it comes to AoE damage, I think even in certain windows of damage time, he can outperform Ganyu because of how fast he can deal the damage, right? So moving on to Ganyu, this is another character that I definitely would not have skipped. I would have gotten her. In fact, I probably would have gotten her C1. Ganyu is one of those characters that I want to slowly work my way to C6 for Ganyu. I do think her C6 is highly functional, easy to use, and turns her into an absolute unit if she wasn't already one. All right, moving on to Albedo. Now, this one is hard to say because very soon, if I get my hands on Ito, pair them together in a mono geo team, this might change. But right now, as it stands, without pairing him with Ito so far, no, I would not have picked him up. If I was not a collector, I would have let Albedo go, because it's just hard to run him with the certain like comps that I have. I mean, Hu Tao works well with Albedo. She could. So Xingqiu, Albedo, and Zhongli, pretty much you will never need a healer. I've ran that team before. It's good, but I'd much rather just prefer Hu Tao, Xingqiu with someone else. Why do I need to drop $100 something to get a 5-star character that I'm not going to use too much? To be honest, Albedo hasn't seen much usage, and I really hope that changes with Ito. Zhongli, chat, I don't think I need to be the one telling you guys. Yes, I would have picked him up regardless. If I could pull back time, I probably would have gotten him to C2. Now, people might not believe me when I say this, but I had Zhongli at C2 before his buff came around. I'm just telling you guys, I had Zhongli at C2 before his buffs were ever announced. That's how much I love this character. I did think he was very strong. I enjoyed him for the shielding. He's busted character, makes the game so much more easy to navigate for any sort of content. You can focus on the combat that you want to play. You can try out new comps without worrying that you're gonna die and having to heal and whatnot. A lot of headache is just gone because of Zhongli. Love him. definitely would have picked him up. All right. Tartaglia, here's the thing, probably would not have picked him up, but knowing me, I probably would have gotten baited by his caricature and his design and stuff from the very beginning and be like, wow, that character is hella dope, I'm gonna pick him up, and I'm gonna regret it. Moving on to Venti. Yes, I would have picked Venti up, but it's a huge but. My Venti currently is C4. I should have kept him at C0. This was during a time when I was hunting for D-Look. I was hunting for D-Look, and I was jumping between the standard banner and rage pulling on the Venti banner, and I got him all the way to C4. I did not know what I was doing. That was before I even started making content on YouTube. This is like way before. This is like in September, late September, early October of the year 2020. Venti is probably one of my biggest mistakes in this game, getting him to such a high constellation for absolutely no reason. I know I skipped Klee. We'll go back to Klee now. Let's just get that out there. I would have not gotten her if I was not collecting for characters. Definitely not, because she just doesn't fit my playstyle. She feels slow. I know with animation canceling, she can feel more fluid, even fast, but that's just too much APM for me. I've never enjoyed playing StarCraft, and even during the times when I did play StarCraft, it felt like my fingers were falling off, and that's what it feels like when I'm playing Klee. Literally, my keyboard sounds like I am a hardcore StarCraft 2 player when playing this character. That's gonna be a no for me, bro. Moving on, I think we covered all the limited characters. We'll touch very basically on what characters I would have probably hunted for if I go back with the knowledge I have for these non-limited characters. Keqing. I still would have gotten Keqing. I do think she's a lot of fun. Till this day, I do think she's one of the more enjoyable characters I've played, like overall. Next to Hu Tao, I would say is Keqing, and then is Kazuha, and then is Ayaka. When it comes to fun gameplay, I enjoy these characters quite a bit. Mona, I know she's powerful, would not have hunted her. Chi-Chi, please, let's move on. D-Look, I also regret a lot because I spent, I want to say close to $2,000 hunting for him. Big mistake. All right, people never do that. I know a lot of people will hear this like, yes, I know it's right. I know what he's saying is correct, but I just can't help it sometimes. And I made a huge mistake. I'm gonna have to live with that every time I see this character and I see for Venti, but hey, he's still C0. Anyways, Jean, would have loved to have her. She's great. I use her when I run into super difficult content that demands this level of healing. So that's gonna be that. That's everything, and I hope I did not offend anybody. And at the end of the day, we all enjoy our own content and stuff, so I hope you guys enjoy yours. Comment below on your personal experience, and here to hear from you guys. So until next time, I urge you all to stay safe and peace. Bye YouTube. We'll see you guys next time.